These days, it can be hard to trust the media. What's true, what's fake, and who is behind the message? I'm a freelance journalist and videographer who has spent years studying the media. Now I'm taking a look at what local, regional, and national news stories mean to us here in North Central Washington. I'm Dominick Bonny, and this is Common Sense.
What we witnessed on January 6th in our nation's capital was white privilege taken to violent extremes. It was an insurrection and a breach of one of the most important symbols of our American republic. It was a coup designed to intimidate the highest elected representatives in our federal government and make them capitulate in their duty to certify the Electoral College results. But that mob that roamed the halls of the Capitol building, ransacking congressional offices and searching for lawmakers to punish, would have never been able to breach that temple of democracy had they been black or brown. And they certainly wouldn't have been able to leave the building they had just ransacked and board flights home. But what made these people feel so emboldened? I gave it some thought and broke it down into three parts. One, a demagogue who has been egging on violent extremists for years. In fact, through his rhetoric, he has taken once semi-reasonable conservative voters and turned them into extremists who feel more loyalty to him personally than they do to this country or our Constitution. Two, a victimhood complex that has become a part of the mental furniture of the right. It's been there long before this attempted coup. And if you're a social media user, you've probably seen it kick into high gear in the days since the insurrection. People online claiming that those on the right are now being targeted unfairly somehow. People equating justice and consequences for sedition as political persecution. And the third way that we got here is misinformation. It has been allowed to run rampant. There are no objective facts anymore. There is no objective truth. People, especially those on the right, have been conditioned to believe whatever supports their bias, no matter how ludicrous it might sound to those of us not mired in these self-told fairy tales. If you lost an election, it's not because your ideas or policies didn't resonate with a majority of voters, it's because it was stolen by evildoers. And that's how we get to the dehumanization of those who oppose you. If someone opposes Donald Trump, they're not cast as people with different points of view, people you can reason with and come to a consensus. They are cast as supervillains who literally drink the blood of children. How can you dialogue and come to a compromise with people who think that? You can't. Stay tuned, because in this episode, we're going to talk about this insurrection in Washington, D.C. and the breach of the Capitol building on January 6th and peel back the layers of the onion to reveal that this coup attempt was a well-coordinated, consisted of extremists from across the nation, including people from Washington State, and the warning signs were willfully ignored by those in power, including the acting Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, who denied National Guard backup and resources to the DC mayor and then went AWOL for 90 minutes during the siege as the Maryland governor was trying to reach him to get authorization to send in National Guard troops to back up overwhelmed Capitol Police officers. I'm Dominick Bonny, and this is a special episode of Common Sense.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
You love to help others. You need a solid career. You can have it all with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take patient vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain medical records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, visit chartercollege.edu, because we work to get you to work.
Mary Maids of Wenatchee has been professionally cleaning and sanitizing homes and businesses in North Central Washington since 1998. Mary Maids uses commercial-grade cleaners and viricides. Mary Maids has implemented additional safety and sanitation protocols. They are strictly following CDC guidelines for the safety of their clients and employees. For expert help with cleaning and sanitizing your home or business, call or look up Mary Maids of Wenatchee to schedule your free estimate today.
While it may be hard to resist those big brown eyes and pleading face, many people aren't aware that people food can be dangerous to pets. And it's not just because of the added weight gain. Some foods are downright dangerous, including chocolate. For a detailed list of dangerous foods, go online to pawsandclawsvh.com. If you suspect your pet has eaten something dangerous, please call Dr. Shauna Baez and her staff at 888-PAWS, as your pet's health is important to us.
Welcome back. Last week, Donald Trump incited a riot in our nation's capital, finally taking that final step to claim his title as the worst president in American history. The political cult he has built and the loyalty he has fostered among his followers borders on religious fanaticism. So much so that his disciples right here in the Wenatchee Valley and across the country have taken to social media and are denying the fact that he whipped up a mob that went on to kill a Capitol police officer by beating him to death with a fire extinguisher as they pushed their way into the Capitol building. So I want to start this episode by listening to his words, and showing you some of the actions that they sparked. Let's take a look.
We're gathered together in the heart of our nation's capital for one very, very basic and simple reason: to save our democracy. We have hundreds of thousands of people here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. Turn your cameras, please, and show what's really happening out here, because these people are not going to take it any longer. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore. We will stop the steal. We will not let them silence your voices. We're not going to let it happen. They've used the pandemic as a way of defrauding the people. We want to go back, and we want to get this right, because we're going to have somebody in there that should not be in there, and our country will be destroyed, and we're not going to stand for that. For years, Democrats have gotten away with election fraud. Republicans are constantly fighting like a boxer with his hands tied behind his back. It's like a boxer. And we want to be so nice. We want to be so respectful of everybody, including bad people. And we're going to have to fight much harder. But just remember this: you're stronger, you're smarter, you've got more going than anybody. And they try and demean everybody having to do with us. And you're the real people. You're the people that built this nation. You have to get your people to fight. And if they don't fight, we have to primary the hell out of the ones that don't fight. And our election was so corrupt that in the history of this country, we've never seen anything like it. Why wouldn't they let us verify signatures in Fulton County, which is known for being very corrupt? They won't do it. They go to some other county where you would live. I said, that's not the problem. The problem is Fulton County, home of Stacey Abrams. You know what the world says about us now? They said we don't have free and fair elections, and you know what else? We don't have a free and fair press. Our media is not free, it's not fair. It suppresses thought, it suppresses speech, and it's become the enemy of the people. It's become the enemy of the people. It's the biggest problem we have in this country. We will not be intimidated into accepting the hoaxes and the lies that we've been forced to believe. Over the past several weeks, we've amassed overwhelming evidence about a fake election. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. And I'm going to be watching, because history is going to be made. We're going to see whether or not we have great and courageous leaders, or whether or not we have leaders that should be ashamed of themselves. And you know what? If they do the wrong thing, we should never, ever forget that they did. Never forget. We should never, ever forget. The Republicans have to get tougher. You're not going to have a Republican Party if you don't get tougher. They want to play so straight. They want to play so, sir, yes, the United States. The Constitution doesn't allow me to send them back to the States. Well, I say, yes, it does. And we got to get rid of the weak Congress people, the ones that aren't any good. That's going to be the end of the Republican Party as we know it, but it's never going to be the end of us, never. Let them get out. Let the weak ones get out. This is a time for strength. The radical left knows exactly what they're doing. They're ruthless, and it's time that somebody did something about it. Make no mistake, this election was stolen from you, from me, and from the country. As this enormous crowd shows, we have truth and justice on our side. We have overwhelming pride in this great country, and we have it deep in our souls, and we fight. We fight like hell. You want to fight? You better believe you got war. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
We're going to have to fight much harder, he says. We will not take it anymore. You have to get your people to fight. They want to play so straight. It's time somebody did something about it. These people are not going to take it any longer. If you don't fight like hell, we are not going to have a country anymore. Those are all direct quotes. His words led to the death of a Capitol Police officer, but also one of his own unhinged supporters, as she and others attempted to breach the Speaker's lobby and reach the lawmakers who were barricaded behind the doors that Capitol Police officers stepped away from protecting. I'm not going to show the full video here, but I do want to show you this moment as the officers slide over and allow rioters access to the doors of the Speaker's lobby. Here, the rioters threaten and cajole the officers, some saying that they don't want to hurt the officers, but will go through them if they have to. Clearly, it's an extremely scary situation, but the fact that they listen to the rioters and get out of their path probably had the very real potential of getting people inside that lobby hurt or even killed.
They're leaving. They're leaving. These guys ain't the ones that we want you to go home. I'm recording, and there's so many people. It's just, they're gonna push their way up here. Bro, I seen people out there get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. That's what I'm saying. We'll make a path, bro. Please, just let us make a path. Just let us make a path. For the whole country hates I want you to go home. Go. Let's go. Get
That's a stressful, scary situation, and that's putting it mildly. But while some people were dying, others were having a great time ransacking the Capitol building and looking for elected officials to punish. The mob was even recorded chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." Let's take a look. people have such a cultish devotion to Donald Trump that they are willing to build a gallows and threaten to hang his vice president because Pence refused to go against the Constitution and send electoral ballots back to the states that Trump disputes the results of. We as a nation are lucky that this mob didn't actually get its hands on any elected official, Democrat or Republican, because I shudder to think of what they would have done. But while some people were dying and others were violating the temple of our democracy by parading around with Confederate flags, traitors' flags, and Trump flags, as well as smearing feces on the walls, others were enjoying what to them was practically a vacation. Folks like Dr. Tammy Towers Perry, a family medicine doctor in Seattle, clearly had a great time storming the Capitol building and wanted to document her experience with giddy abandon. Here's just one of the many Twitter videos that she posted from the insurrection.
My Patriots, it's Dr. Tammy and Nurse Melissa. We just stormed the Congress, and I'm going to tell you right now, it was wild. We stormed the Capitol, and here's why. We got in there, they started breaking down the windows, people trying to bust in, and then we got sprayed with, I think it was either orange, so it was pepper spray, and then they had some other white stuff, I think it was tear gas. So that was quite an experience for sure. We got out of there, and we're a little congested, and our eyes are burning, but you know what? Compared to what our founding fathers did, it's the least we can do. So God bless America. Joe Biden did not win. He's hopefully going to. God bless America.
But Dr. Tammy wasn't the only person from our neck of the woods who found their way to D.C. to riot. At least 2 Seattle PD officers have been placed on administrative leave after being spotted in pictures from the insurrection. A teacher from Valley School District near Spokane named Peter Wittekind took his family because they wanted to, quote, witness history, as he puts it when he was interviewed by KXLY in Spokane. Well, they certainly witnessed one of the darkest days in American history, but that doesn't seem to bother him much. You can watch the full interview with him and his teenage daughter if you check out the sources in my show notes below. I couldn't imagine a black man taking part in a rally that turned into a riot that then resulted in the breach of the U.S. Capitol building and people's death, then flying home and proudly proclaiming that you were there on the local news. Their shamelessness really knows no bounds. But as our elected representatives cowered on the floor of the House as seditious hooligans, thugs, and even some old ladies roamed the halls of one of the most important and sacred buildings in our country, there was lawlessness and violence taking place in other parts of the country as well. On the other side of the continent, in LA, a black woman in California said a group of nearly 40 pro-Trump demonstrators attacked her and called her the N-word following a rally in downtown LA. The assault was captured by a photographer who later told NBC News that she saw the woman walking by herself and heard the protesters heckling her and asking if she voted for President Donald Trump. After a heated exchange, they surrounded her and assaulted her. This is the kind of behavior that Donald Trump encourages, sometimes using vague dog whistles, and other times telling people in crowds at his rallies to assault hecklers and that he will pay their legal fees if they get in trouble. But this behavior isn't new as of January 6th. These patriots, as they like to call themselves, have been growing more bold and violent for years, but it has reached a fever pitch since Donald Trump lost the presidential election last November. And these aren't just fringy wingnuts. They have the support and the sympathy of some on the inside, literally and figuratively. In Oregon, Representative Mike Neerman, a Republican from Independence, opened 2 doors to the Capitol during a December 21st special legislative session, allowing violent demonstrators who were protesting immediately outside the door to illegally enter the building. Here's some of that footage obtained by the Oregonian newspaper. Just imagine if those people would have been black or brown. If they were, do you think Representative Neerman would have opened the door and allowed them to trespass in the attempts to threaten state lawmakers? I doubt it. These people are worried about losing their electoral power now that Trumpism is on its way out, and they are clearly prepared to do violence in order to maintain their control over the levers of political power. Stay tuned after the break because I am going to attempt to find something to look forward to amid all this chaos that has been condoned and incited by Donald J. Trump, the 45th and now worst president in modern American history.
The Performing Arts Center,
the mountain bike trails.
When I ride the Loop Trail, we've all been lifted by the giving generosity of our community.
I think philanthropy is everywhere.
I'm just overwhelmed with gratefulness.
There is such a legacy of giving in this community.
And that's a direct impact on my quality of life.
And we have the duty to kind of do the same thing for our future generations.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere. So when we get home, I know it's safe.
Protect your family and save money with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to Guardian Services from LocalTel. Call Guardian Security from LocalTel now or visit localtel.net to learn more.
Hello, North Central Washington. I'm Dave Tosh, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, and I'm excited to announce a new variety show entitled Vibrant Living, brought to you by the Senior Center. And I think you'll find it educational, informative, and a lot of fun. Join us in early November for the new program, Vibrant Living.
There are so many possibilities for you to learn local right here at Wenatchee Valley College. Take classes towards a degree or certificate in more than 50 areas of study. Wenatchee Valley College now offers a large variety of virtual classes, including labs, sign language, music, and machining, and they have the resources to help you succeed in virtual classes. So when a college degree is your goal, learn local at Wenatchee Valley College.
Voltaire said that those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. And the whole world saw those atrocities in action on January 6th. Worse than the assault and the damage to our Capitol building was the damage that that assault did to American prestige. Never in the history of our country has a mob of insurrectionists breached our Capitol building, and never before has the traitor's flag of the Confederacy been allowed to desecrate the halls of the people's house. Not even during the Civil War. But now it's 2020 and we see the symbol of white supremacy, cowardice, and treason. And that symbol has been allowed to sully the halls of our nation's Capitol building. You might wonder why I'm focusing so much on these symbols. Well, first, it's because I was raised Catholic, and symbols are a big part of the Catholic tradition, as is the sacredness of our cathedrals, monuments, and relics. So when I saw people who call themselves Americans and even patriots desecrating such a major symbol of our nation, I was aghast, confused, and angry. Another reason is that as a junior in high school, I had the opportunity to visit our nation's capital, and it made a lasting impression on me. I remember feeling a sense of awe as I walked up the steps to the Lincoln Memorial. I stood and looked out at the Washington Monument and its reflecting pool, roughly where Martin Luther King stood when he gave that famous speech and said, "I have a dream." I remember standing in front of the statue of the great emancipator, Abraham Lincoln, looking up at that alabaster face in awe. He led us through our nation's darkest days and kept our union together with wit and willpower. If you have had the opportunity to visit our nation's capital, you probably have experienced a sense of profound respect and awe and appreciation for what our forefathers built. And that's because that's what the Capitol was designed to do. It's designed to impress upon every visitor, not just Americans, that the American experiment is not just a success, It's the pinnacle of human civic achievement. It's a city built to be an everlasting symbol of freedom and self-government, a testament to human rationality and independence. That's why this assault was so insidious. It undermines all of the ideas and the values our nation's capital represents. What we witnessed, what the world witnessed on January 6th was not a goof. It was not an accident. It wasn't the result of some happenstance. It was the result of more than 4 years of extremist rhetoric and conspiracy theories tweeted and spread by an unhinged demagogue, and then echoed by an opportunistic, cynical media infrastructure. First it was Fox News, and then came its insidious offspring like Newsmax and OAN. These are networks that monetize outrage and willful ignorance to make a mint. It's a well-established business model. Rupert Murdoch has made billions using it. But then along comes a loudmouth, emotional arsonist like Donald Trump, and you've got a major economic engine for a media outlet with no ethics. What we saw on January 6th was the reaping of the grapes of wrath that we as a nation sowed for 4 years, and even before that. So where do we go from here? It's tough to know for certain. But one thing is sure. This seditious extremism represents the death throes of a movement that is nearing its end. These treasonous actions were not perpetrated by people who feel strong. No, these are the actions of weak people who are scared about a future where they are not in the driver's seat politically. They are worried that a new day is dawning and the future will lead them to being oppressed as the people they were trying to keep down. They are terrified about a future that has leaders who don't look just like them. They are scared of leaders who are women and people of color. And they should be thanking God that these future leaders and the future coalitions that will lead this nation only want equality and not revenge. The upshot of one of the darkest days in American history is that these folks revealed themselves for what they are. The small, weak-minded, petty, and violent dregs of a society that is moving on without them. They showed how ugly, un-American, and seditious their movement really is. And if there is any justice in the world, they will pay. They will pay in the form of electoral defeats for a generation, if not generations to come. As for rational Republicans and principled conservatives, I know you are out there. You have been very quiet, but I know you still exist. Maybe this offers you an opportunity to take back your party from what was once the fringes. As for progressives and folks on the left, I'm sure that watching so many of our friends and neighbors bend over backwards to excuse an insurrection by people who share their political stripes has felt like a bridge too far. It felt beyond the pale to me, and that's been hard to process. But chin up, because as of January 20th, this national nightmare will be over and we can begin to heal and rebuild. And look at it this way, Donald Trump lost the presidency, the House, and the Senate. In the most ironic of ways, he has made America great again. Join me next time for Common Sense.
Winter is a great time to trade in your current hot tub. Turn your old hot tub into money with Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa's trade-in program. You can save $500 to $1,000 off of any new artesian spa or take advantage of a free Bluetooth music experience. Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa recommends draining your hot tub every 3 months. Ask us about our drain and refill special. Stop on by Blue Lagoon Pool & Spa today.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellingson here from Live It Up. Join us every week as we answer your questions on health, wealth, and relationships.
We're all about you creating a life that you love, so tune in to Live It Up.
Hi, I'm Corey with Rose Tractor, and you're watching the NCWLIFE channel.